we managed to get a slammed F-150 Raptor before Grand Theft Auto 6. And yes, I did just make that joke because this truck looks absolutely hilarious. Like, who would actually lower a Raptor like that? But welcome back to the channel though, and I do hope everybody is having a great day today. And I would say you probably can't have a bad day because we are now in the Solar Crown beta, at least, part of it. But I have to say, guys, I did want to go over some of my impressions on this beta and like my overall thoughts on it. So you probably saw the intro clip and you're like, bro, that F-150 Raptor's kind of clean. And you know what? I do like it. You guys know what's funny about that truck being slammed to the ground though, is you actually can't lower vehicles like that. And also, the beginning of the actual beta, did you see that Mustang on the street side? That thing was definitely lowered down a bit, or at least I guess you could say slammed to the ground, similar to the Raptor, even though you currently cannot lower a car like that. I mean, look at the regular 5.0, you can't do that. Now, don't get me wrong, that could also be like a bug or something in like the beta itself, and we might not actually see the entire Mustang slammed to the ground in the real game, but my goodness though, imagine if you can actually do that. And I also do know that's probably going to bring me into my first thing, the overall customization. Now I do know a lot of players are most likely going to jump onto Solar Crown and be like, man, the customization in this game is terrible. You can't upgrade cars, all you could do is the rims, a paint job, and then, change something in the interior, but there's nothing else. Now I'm going to admit this though, I don't mind it. Hear me out for a second though, because I do know people are going to be like, bro, we need more customization. This is terrible for a game in 2024. Well, here's the thing about that though. Test Drive was never about customizing a card like that, or at least doing something crazy like body kits and all kinds of like lowered stuff, cambered wheels and all kinds of things on a vehicle or like underglows. This is not Need for Speed, man, so like I understand it. But at the same time though, I do understand where you're coming from. Yes, we're probably not going to have some like crazy Rocket Bunny or like wide body kits for the cars, but can we actually get something like changing the rim size, maybe the tire size on the vehicle, and also let us lower them a bit and stuff like that, similar to the Mustang, or the insanely slammed down F-150 Raptor? Like, that would be dope. And I would say small things like that, like players would like it, maybe like add wings to the car, maybe change the hood to something like carbon, maybe add like carbon mirrors. Something like that would be kind of dope. Could it happen in the future? I would say it's definitely possible. Now, I have to say though, like leveling up a car and stuff like that, or buying performance parts for it, we can't do a lot of that stuff right now in the beta, so I can't really give my full opinion on it. But buying a few things for the vehicles, it definitely makes them quicker. And you can actually see that when driving them, like putting a turbo on it, adding a few other upgradable parts. It does make the car faster, and it's definitely noticeable. One thing I really love about this game, guys, I have to admit it, the sense of speed looks so dang good in this game. And what's funny about that is I was legitimately thinking about doing a separate video on the sense of speed in Solar Crown compared to something like Motorfest. I might have to do that. But going fast in this game is so dang fun, man. And on top of that, the cars sound absolutely incredible. But I do have to add something onto that though. Can we all agree right now that the backfiring sounds are a bit insane? Now, I'm not saying the 5.0 is terrible because I wasn't noticing it as much on this car, but my goodness though, the Alpine A110 was absolutely hilarious. Like, take a listen to this. Now, I do understand, though, this is going to be a beta, so a lot of things can change with, like, the overall car sounds in the actual game itself. We all do know the beta build for the PC, or, like, the demo back then, was going to be an old build, and by the looks of it, I would actually say the console build that we're currently playing on is most likely the exact same one with a few different tweaks, which I do actually believe Alex 7 and Kingdom 12 also mentioned that, and I would say a lot of players that did end up playing in that PC demo, it is probably going to be fairly obvious. Now, the other thing I did want to talk about though is going to come down to like the overall driving physics. What's also insane about this though is this is going to be a beta build, so we do know right now for a fact after seeing the video from Alex 7 that we are going to have even better physics when the game does come out. Funny thing is, I was actually really enjoying the way the cars drive in the beta. Now, I don't know if I'm tripping out here, guys. Let me know in the comments below, but playing this game on my PS5 compared to the PC version in that demo, I do feel like the PS5 version feels way better. Now, I do know this one's capped at like 30 frames a second. You could probably see like the graininess of some things, and it's probably not perfect. I also would definitely say this game looks nothing like a PS3 game, which I do know people are saying that. We can all agree right now the graphics in this game actually look pretty dang good for the most part. Yes, they can improve, and we have seen a more final build version of it to where it does actually look improved. So I would say a lot of players might look at this game and go, oh man, look at the graphics, it looks terrible. I would recommend giving the game a shot though, because the overall driving feeling of the cars is actually incredibly fun. I had such a great time driving around the Alpine car, which is kind of funny because I have never even heard of an Alpine before, and that's probably due to the fact that that car is not in the United States. But I had a great time driving that car around, doing some of the events in it, and exploring part of the new Hong Kong Island map. It was just a dope feeling driving around on the highways going quick. The overall sense of speed driving around is so dang dope, and I do like the way the cars can drift around and stuff, and I can't even imagine the way they actually feel in the final build, because overall, like, the beta's not that terrible. I do know it's probably getting a ton of hate, like Kingdom 12 even had to address that. People are saying the game looks terrible, the overall driving is awful. Guys, we all do know, once again, this is an old build, man. Like, give the game a shot here. And you know what the funny part about this, though, is I feel like a lot of the people that would end up trying out Solar Crown, like, let's say the beta was actually open, which honestly it really should be. Let's say they actually did that. I feel like a lot of players would actually like the overall beta build, even though it's going to be older. They would probably like the way the cars drive. Yeah, the customization's not all that, but again, that wasn't really a test drive thing. Now, I would also understand on the same side if players don't see that much customization, maybe that would actually stir them away from the game, because you might actually like customizing different cars, you know, making them unique to you and actually standing out compared to other people. Where this game, you're probably going to have a lot of stock vehicles because that's what it's based on, and basically many people may end up looking the same. Personally, I don't really mind it though, because the overall driving physics and stuff really do make up for it. The other thing I also really liked about this beta was also going to be in the PC demo. That was the fact that you can actually make money while driving your car around. For example, going really fast, getting close to other vehicles, drifting. You can legit cash that in and make money doing it. That is so dope. On top of that, you can also drive around and find extra reputation things, and also like these solar coin icons around the map. That is so dope. And I would say a lot of games would actually benefit from something like that. On top of that, guys, we're also going to have different things like daily challenges, and I really do think a lot of games like Motorfest definitely need something like that in them. So I would say a lot of those things are going to be a big positive. The other thing I also really enjoyed about Solar Crown was the racing. I would say a lot of players are probably going to enjoy the fact that you can actually jump into the races solo, and most of the time you're probably not going to have anybody in those. I would say, yeah, you could probably have someone join you, but one way they could probably fix that is most likely make it like a 5-second countdown, or the second you actually start that race, maybe have an option in it. That way, if players want to join, you can hit play with people, or like do a PvP type, or play it solo. That could be the one way to get rid of it. And I do know this was actually a big concern for many players when the PC demo was out, because a lot of players are like, bro, what if I don't want to do PvP? What if I want to play solo? The thing is though, when playing a bunch of events over the past couple of days, I did not find a single person in those races. So I wouldn't say you're probably going to encounter them. I would say most players would most likely start it up, and they're probably not going to want to play with people. I really do think the best way to do this though, guys, when the game does end up releasing, is honestly just put two options in there. Let's just say you actually start the race up, hit solo, do that race by yourself. The other way is, let's say you can start that race up and actually join other players, and that way you can matchmake and find a few players in that event. Do that with PvP, and then also have like the main AI in there. That way it's going to separate, so if a player is a solo type of person, they can't do that. I would say that's probably the best way to do it. And the best part about this though is when I was playing that demo, a 30-second countdown was absolutely insane. The fact that now playing the beta it's going to be a 10-second countdown is even better. That way, if you guys are definitely more of a solo type of player, you don't actually have to worry about people joining nearly as often. So if you are wondering about that, I would definitely give the game a shot still. Even if you're like, man, I don't want to race with people, I would say about 98% of the time you're most likely not going to find anyone in the events, and if you do, it might be 1 or 2 people. Now, when the game actually comes out, I would say this can definitely be a bigger number because there is going to be a lot more people on this. Now, we all do know right now in the beta, though, that this does not have crossplay. I'm actually going to touch on that in a different video in the next few days, so do stay tuned for that one. One thing I did also have to add on to this, though, is going to be the character customization. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be the best character customization ever, but the fact that you can actually go in there and change your entire character around, like the facial structure, the different models and all that, is so dang dope. I also feel like a lot of games do not actually have this feature. For example, in Motorfest, you pick your character and that is it. But in this game, though, let's say you actually made your character and you don't like the way the cheekbones came out, or maybe you don't like the way your nose looks. You can actually go in there and change around those features anytime that you actually want to. I really like small things like this, and I think other games should probably have it. Like, I do know something like Elden Ring is in there where you could change your appearance. Even Grand Theft Auto actually added that feature years later. But no, Test Drive is actually going to have this on release. I do think something like this in Motorfest would be dope, and I do feel like other games should definitely follow suit of this. That way, if you don't like the way your character looks or you want to change it, that option is always there. But overall, though, I do admit I'm having a great time in the Test Drive beta. Yes, it's not going to be perfect, but once again, it's an older build, so I cannot wait to actually play the actual game when it does come out, and there is going to be physics changes, and the graphics are going to be improved. Even though I do admit, though, playing on 30 frames a second on the PS5, I actually really thought the game was a lot smoother than my PC, but then again, I would say that demo build was a bit more unstable and probably wasn't as well optimized as something like the current console beta. I would like to know what you guys think about the console beta in the comments below. Also, what are your overall thoughts on Test Drive so far? What are some of your main positives and negatives about the game? And what are some of the biggest things you guys would like to see changed in it? Once again, though, stay tuned in the next few days for a few more topics I did want to touch on. And overall, let's enjoy this beta.